Hello everyone, welcome. Today we are doing Through the Eyes of Travelers, which is the first chapter of our second book. Now I would like to tell you beforehand that I will not be stretching this video too long. This video will only be talking about Al Biruni. ठीक है? कैसा flow रहेगा? I'll tell you. Al Biruni जैसे ये है, we'll do this page and then we'll skip Ibn Battuta and Francois Bernier. Okay? फिर यहाँ पे आ जाएंगे अ, इस वाले पेज पे एंड अलबरूनी ही पूरा कंप्लीट करेंगे इस वीडियो पे ठीक है दिस इज बिकॉज आई वांटेड टू बिकॉज आपकी बुक में ऐसे अलग अलग जगह पे इंट्रोडक्शन एंड देन लेटर ऑन दे इलेबोरेटेड तो मैं वैसा नहीं करना चाहती थी मैं एक साथ एक ट्रैवलर के बारे में पढ़ाना चाहती थी therefore I'm going to start and finish this video only based on Al-Biruni. So let's start with Al-Biruni. ठीक है फर्स्ट पेज देख लेते हैं एक बारी. Now we know that women and men have traveled in search of work, escaped from natural disasters, traders, merchants, soldiers, priests, pilgrims, वगैरह वगैरह बहुत सारे रीजंस हैं ठीक है. एंड जब वो लोग किसी न्यू लैंड में आते हैं तो दे हैव टू एनकाउंटर अ वर्ल्ड दैट इज कम्प्लीटली डिफरेंट. फिजिकल लैंडस्केप भी डिफरेंट होता है, एनवायरमेंट, कस्टम्स, लैंग्वेजेस, बिलीफ, प्रैक्टिसेस सब कुछ डिफरेंट होता है राइट. तो इस चैप्टर में बेसिकली हम तीन ऐसे फेमस ट्रैवलर्स के बारे में पढ़ेंगे, उनके अकाउंट्स के बारे में पढ़ेंगे एंड व्हाट दे एक्चुअली फिगर्ड आउट इन आवर इंडिया ठीक है. तो these accounts, some of them deal with the affairs of the court, some deal with religious issues, some architectural features and monuments ठीक है. Now let's actually we shall see our knowledge of the past can be enriched through a consideration of descriptions of social life provided by travelers who visited the subcontinent. So we have three travelers: Al-Biruni, who is from Uzbekistan, 11th century, and we will be emphasizing on this very particular thing, that is Al-Biruni. After Al-Biruni we'll be doing Ibn Battuta. Then we have French man who is Francois Bernier. Okay, so let's start with Ibn Battuta. Sorry, Al-Biruni. Okay, Al-Biruni's objectives. He described his work as a help to those people who wanted to discuss religious questions with the Hindus and as a repertory of information to those people who wanted to associate with them. Associate with them means that those people who wanted to actually integrate themselves into the Hinduism, mainstream Hinduism culture. He wrote this thing for them. Okay. Just a second. I don't know. I'm just receiving some messages, so please wait. Now, starting with the very first topic, that is from Khwarizm to Punjab. Now, Al-Biruni was born in the year 973 in Khwarizm, which is in present-day Uzbekistan. Okay? So, Khwarizm was a very important center of learning, and Al-Biruni received the best education available at that time. So, he was well versed in several languages: Syriac, अरेबिक, पर्शियन, हिब्रू, संस्कृत. तो उसको 5 लैंग्वेजेस आती थी: सीरियाक, अरेबिक, पर्शियन, Hebrew and Sanskrit. Okay? But he did not know Greek, but then he was familiar with the works of Plato and Greek philosophers, having read them in Arabic translations. तो 1017 ईयर में क्या होता है, सुल्तान मोहम्मद इन्वेडेड ख्वारिज्म ठीक है, एंड इट टुक सेवरल स्कॉलर्स फ्रॉम ख्वारिज्म एंड पोएट्स बैक टू हिज कैपिटल गजनी. तो अल बिरूनी वाज वन ऑफ द पोएट्स हु वेंट टू गजनी एंड he arrived in Ghazni as an hostage, but gradually developed a liking for the city, where he spent the rest of his life until his death at the age of 70. Okay. So Al-Biruni's expertise in several languages allowed him to compare languages and translate texts. Because उसको 5 languages आती थी, so he translated the several Sanskrit texts, including Patanjali's work on grammar, into Arabic. From his Brahman friends, he translated the works of Euclid. Euclid is a Greek mathematician, into Sanskrit. Okay? So it was in Ghazni that Al-Biruni developed an interest in India, and this was not really unusual. Sanskrit works on astronomy, mathematics, medicine had been translated into Arabic from the 8th century onwards. From the Punjab, when the Punjab became a part of the Ghaznavid Empire, contacts with the local population helped create an environment of mutual trust and understanding. And Al-Biruni spent years in the company of Brahmin priests and scholars, learning Sanskrit language and studying religious and philosophical texts. While his itinerary is not really clear, it is likely that he traveled widely in the parts of Punjab and then northern India. Travel literature was already an accepted part of Arabic literature by the time he wrote. So this literature dealt with lands as far apart as the Sahara Desert desert in the west to the river Volga in the north. So while few people in India would have read Al-Biruni before 1500, many others outside India may have done so as well. Now, metrology is a science of measurement. Before we go to here, we just look at this box. Hindu. The term Hindu was derived from an old Persian word used between the 6th and 5th century that is called refer to the region east of the river Sindhu, that is Indus. ठीक है. अब उनको S का टर्म नहीं मिल रहा था, इसलिए उन्होंने I लगा दिया और हिंदू बोलने लगे वो, और सॉरी H लगा दिया और हिंदू बोलने लगे वो लोग. The Arabs continued their Persian usage and called this region Al-Hind and its people Hindi. Later, the Turks referred to the people east of the Indus as Hindu and the land as Hindustan and the language as Hindavi. ठीक है. अब इसमें से एक भी एक्सप्रेशन ये नहीं बताता that it is related to a religious connotations, जो आज हम बोलते हैं connotations about Hinduism and the culture. That is not Hinduism, that is Sanatan culture. This is Hinduism is just a word that you refer to because of Hindustan and Hinduism, but then that's not really having any religious connotations. ठीक है. किताबुल हिंद की बात करें तो Al-Biruni's किताबुल हिंद written in Arabic language is simple and usage. It is a voluminous text divided into 80 chapters on subjects like religion, philosophy, festivals, astronomy, alchemy, manners and customs, social life, faiths and measures, iconography, laws and metrology. ठीक है. Al-Biruni adopted a distinctive structure in each chapter, beginning with a question, following this up with a description based on Sanskritic traditions, and concluding with a comparison with other culture. तो क्या करता था? सबसे पहले क्वेश्चन के साथ शुरू करता था, उसके बाद एक डिस्क्रिप्शन देता था based on Sanskrit tradition, and then it used to conclude by comparing it with other cultures. ठीक है. Some present day scholars have argued that this was almost geometric structure, remarkable for its precision and predictability, owed much to its mathematical orientation. So Al-Biruni, who wrote in Arabic, probably intended his work for peoples living alone in the frontiers of the subcontinent. He was familiar with translations and adaptations of Sanskrit, Pali, and Prakrit texts into Arabic. These ranged from fables to works on astronomy and medicine. However, he was also critical about the ways in which these texts were written and clearly wanted to improve on them. Acha. Now coming ahead of this thing, and we'll just describe कि Al-Biruni कैसा था. Okay, right. Now, a language with an enormous range. Al-Biruni has described Sanskrit मतलब as this thing. So, कि अगर आपको किसी कभी difficulty आई संस्कृत में, if you want to conquer this difficulty, you will not find it easy. ठीक है. आपको हमेशा संस्कृत में डिफिकल्टी आनी है because of the language is an enormous range, both in words and inflection. Something like Arabic calling one and the same thing by various names. बहुत सारे origin है, बहुत सारे नाम है एक ही चीज के. तो it must be properly understood, must be distinguished from each other by various qualifying epithets. ठीक है. Now, making sense of an alien world, Al-Biruni and the Sanskritic tradition. Overcoming barriers to understanding. As we have seen, travelers often compare with what they saw in the subcontinent with the practices with which they have been familiar with. ठीक है. तो they adopted many strategies. जैसे Al-Biruni was aware of the problem inherent in the task that he had set himself. He discussed several barriers that he felt obstructed understanding. पहला तो language था. According to him, Sanskrit was so different from Arabic and Persian that ideas and concepts could not be easily translated from one language to another. Second, he identified was the difference in religious beliefs and practices. The self-absorption and consequent insularity of the local population, according to him, constituted the third barrier. Now, it is interesting that even though Al-Biruni was aware of all of this, he still was dependent on almost exclusive works of Brahmins, often citing passages from Vedas, Purana, Bhagavad Gita, works of Patanjali, Manusmriti, to provide an understanding of Indian society. Okay, now Al-Biruni tried to explain the caste system by looking for parallels in other societies. He noted कि ancient Persia में भी ऐसा कोई 4 social category का system होता था, जिसमें एक आता था knights, princes वाला thing, then we had monks and fire priests and lawyers वाला thing, physicians, astronomers and other scientists, and then finally peasants and artisans. तो इसमें कुछ lower and upper caste ऐसा criteria नहीं था, लेकिन social 4 categories थी. We had kings and knights and princes in the first category, monks, lawyers and fire priests in the second category, physicians, astronomers and scientists in the third, and finally the peasants and the artisans. So in other words, he attempted to suggest that social divisions were not really unique to India. ठीक है. At the same time, he pointed out कि इस्लाम के अंदर सारे ही आदमियों को equal माना जाता था, differing only in the observance of piety. In spite of his acceptance of the Brahmanical description of caste system, Al-Biruni was against the notion of pollution. pollution. ठीक है, वो disapprove करता है इस pollution के notion को. He remarked that everything which falls into a state of impurity strives and succeeds in regaining its original condition of purity. ठीक है. Now, what do I actually mean by this sentence is that Al-Biruni believed everything that falls into an impure state naturally strives to regain its original purity. ठीक है, तो मतलब वो कह रहा है कि मतलब अगर कोई भी चीज ऐसे इम्प्योरिटी के स्टेट में पड़ भी जाती है तो अल्टीमेटली वो वापस से अपने प्योर फॉर्म में आ जाएगी. तो ये नोशन के पोल्यूशन के बारे में तो वो बिल्कुल ही अगेंस्ट था. उसने एक एग्जाम्पल दिया है, सन क्लेंसेस द एयर एंड द सॉल्ट इन द सी प्रिवेंट्स द वाटर फ्रॉम बिकमिंग पोल्यूटेड. मतलब सन कॉन्स्टेंटली क्लेंसेस एंड प्यूरिफाइज द एयर. And then there is salt in the sea, which prevents seawater from becoming stagnant and polluted. So if it were not so, insisted Al-Biruni, life on earth would have been impossible. So we know कि nature में कुछ भी चीज आती है तो वो अपने आप को प्योर बना लेती है, अपने आप को साफ कर लेती है. The concept of social pollution intrinsic to caste system was according to him contrary to the laws of nature. मतलब आप नेचर के अगेंस्ट जा रहे हो उसके हिसाब से अगर आप सोशल पोल्यूशन के बात को मान रहे हो. System of Varna. The highest, Al-Biruni's account of the system of Varnas, the highest caste are the Brahmins, of whom the books of Hindus tell us that they were created only from the head of Brahma. Okay? As the Brahmin is only another name for the force called nature, the head is the highest part of the body. The Brahmins are the choice part of the whole genus. Therefore, the Hindus consider them as the very best of mankind. The next are the Kshatriyas who were created as they from the shoulders and hands of Brahmin. Their degree is not much below that of Brahmin. And then we are Vaishyas who were created from thigh, Brahmin. And then there were Shudras who were created from his feet. तो लोग कह रहे हैं कि वैश्यस और शूद्रास में इतना कुछ डिफरेंस नहीं है, बट देन दे वर स्टिल डिफरेंसेस बिकॉज दे लिव टुगेदर इन द सेम टाउन्स एंड विलेजेस मिक्स टुगेदर इन सेम sometimes houses and logics. So we have seen Al-Biruni's description of the caste system was deeply influenced by a study of normative Sanskrit texts which laid down the rules governing system from the point of view of Brahmins. However, in real life, the system was not really rigid, right? In other words, they were being subject. So we have seen key categories defined as Antyaja. Antyaja are the people who are born outside the system, who are often expected to provide inexpensive labor to both peasants and zamindars. In other words, while they were subjected to social oppression, they were included within the economic networks as well. Okay? And here we complete our this thing, Al-Biruni wala. The entire topic. Okay, I hope you understood this. And in the next time, I'll be making another part 2 of this. In part 2, I'll be covering the rest of the chapter. Right.